Hello, this is Biblical Tarot, and I'm back with another video. And in this video, it is a video about the Seven of Swords. And it's about how the Seven of Swords corresponds to Masonic Freemasonry. And I'm going to talk about the Seven of Swords and how I found out, because it's taken me a long time to figure out the meaning of the Seven of Swords. And I think it's like one of the most interesting cards in the Rider Waite deck. And they always call this card the Cunning card. The name of it is the Lord of Futility, which futility means it kind of means like useless, something that you do or you're into that nothing is going to come out, nothing good is going to come out of it, maybe nothing at all is going to come out of it. Doing something and how can I explain it? Like just not doing so good. You know, maybe you're an asshole or something. Nothing's good going to come out of it. It's futility. Stealing something, nothing's good going to come from it because it's futility, it's futile. So I'd like to talk about it, and I'd like to talk about the Masonic meanings to the card, because the Seven of Swords, the character in my interpretation, is squaring his actions, okay, because of what he's doing. And squaring his actions, it is of a masonry symbolism. And before them it was a thing, but they're known for squaring their actions. This card is very Masonic, and it took me years to truly understand what it is really about. Now, I know a lot of people will totally disagree with my interpretation, but the interpretation I have comes from the signs and the symbols in the card. First thing that needs to be known is that the author of this deck, the Rider Waite, was a Mason. So to look at some of the cards, probably most of them and all of them, you also have to look at the backdrop, that the meanings of the cards are corresponded to Masonic meanings. Okay, so I will show you my findings in the Seven of Swords. Definitely I will. And the number one clue that is very obvious to me is the man with the Moorish fez on his head. And the fez, also called tarbouche cap, felt headdress in the shape of a short cylindrical peakless hat, usually red, sometimes with a tassel attached at the top. But this one, it doesn't have the tassel, but you can see the black fuzziness around it. You know, maybe the tassel's on his other side and you can't see the tassel. But the fez, it comes from the Moroccan city. The dye to color the hat extended from crimson berries, and it's from the Ottoman era. May have originated from the Ottoman area. The ancient Greece used it. The military used it. They used to wear the fez. And it's worn by men in Egypt, North Africa. It's a national headdress of the Turks. Not anymore, I don't think, but it used to be. And the headdress, they used to call it the headdress of the ancient ones. The Moors, the Moors, M-U-U-R, or the M-O-O-R-S, which, if you look it up, it's the womb of the cosmos mother. That's what the hat is supposed to symbolize. That's what the Moors supposed to symbolize, the womb of the cosmos mother, the symbol of the moon, of the womb. So I just wanted to do the backdrop of it, of the fez, the Moorish headdress that he has on, and that was the biggest clue of it being a Masonic meaning. And Obviously, it gives you the energy. The whole card kind of gives you the energy of a Moroccan scenery with the tents and stuff, and them in the background with the campfire. So, also, the other thing that I found out in this card was the character's foot on the left has a number on his boot. And I don't know if you can see it here, but it's a 47. And that is a special number symbolism to the Masons, which corresponds to the 47th, the 47th problem of Euclid, also called the bride's chair. So if we look at the 47th problem, we can see 7 lines going through the chair or the 3 squares. Now I'm going to give you the backdrop of the 47th problem of Euclid, which the 47th problem of Euclid was an invention of, not really an invention, but he learned it from the Africans and the Asians, either or. But it was an invention of the ancient friend and brother, the great Pythagoras, who was in his travels. He traveled through Asia and Africa and Europe and was initiated into several orders of priesthood and raised to the sublime degree of a Mason. He was a wise philosopher, enriched his mind abundantly with a general knowledge of things, and more especially in geometry or masonry. On this subject, he drew out many problems and theorems. Among the most distinguished, he erected this when in the joy of his heart he exclaimed "EUREKA," signifying in the Grecian language, "I have found it," which all that came from a Masonic book, okay? So I just wanted to read the backdrop of it. And the 47th problem of Euclid, 47, long life, happiness. I'll go back to here with his 47 on his boot. So he also has 7 swords, and we see the 7 swords, which also, if you look at the 47th problem of Euclid, or the bride's chair, you will see 7 lines coming out of the 3 squares. So I will show it to you. Obviously, when you're watching it while I'm talking, you'll probably see the video playing of me outlining the 7 lines, which I find those are the 7 swords. Okay. The next numbers that correspond to the 47th problem is the 7 swords, which you can count in his hands and also behind him. And that's the 3, the 5, and the 7. This also is a very important number to the Masons, the 3, the 5, and the 7. He holds 3 swords on his left, and he holds all together in his hands 5 swords. So we have 3, and then we have 5. Okay. If you count in the 2 swords behind him, it's the 7. So altogether it's 7. So you have the 3 plus the 2, which is the 5, and then the 2 behind him is the 7. That becomes the 3, the 5, the 7. Also hooks up to the 47th problem of Euclid, because the 3 squares are the 3, the 5, and the 7, okay? I'm telling you, it took me years to figure this card out, but I finally figured it out. Okay, there is a deeper meaning to the 3, the 5, and the 7 too, okay? So we'll find that out in a second here. The 3, the 5, and the 7, which ties into the meaning of this card. Usually they speak of this man being cunning or doing something that's futile, you know, that's not right. Maybe he's stealing something. Maybe he's doing something wrong. And the name of the card I told you earlier is the Lord of Futility. Useless, nothing good coming out of the actions. So him being a Mason, he needs to square his actions. The square is a symbol of regulated life and actions. It is the Masonic rule for correcting and harmonizing conduct on principles or morality and virtue. And as a symbol, it is dedicated to the master. There have been references to the square's meaning as a symbol long before the start of Masonry, as we know it. See, he's got to square his action, which a square is 90 degrees. He is squaring his actions. And if you see his legs, they're out of square. I noticed that. It took me a while to understand. Why is he doing that weird little thing with his legs? Because it kind of is weird. But I figured out. He needs to square his actions because he's out of square, which, let me show you. Here we go. There we go. If you can see the right angle. He's almost in a right angle, but he needs to get into the right angle because he's doing something bad. He needs to get back into square. So, yes, I put all that over him because something just told me that it hooked up to the compass and the ruler and the 47th problem of Euclid, which is the 3 squares there are the 47th problem of Euclid. The 3, the 5, and the 7. Okay? Which also, the 3, the 5, and the 7, which is the 47th square, it also connects to the spiral staircase, which if you look into the open tent, I noticed, because I was looking up the spiral staircase, which has the 3, the 5, the 7. There's three stairs, then there's 5 stairs, and then there's 7 stairs. Okay, or it's 3 stairs, 5, 7, blah blah blah. This is getting really irritating here because I can't speak. There's 3 stairs, then there's 5 stairs, and then there's 7 stairs, if I'm not mistaken. And they all mean something. Okay? So if you look in that tent, you can kind of see the bricks or stairs. I think they're stairs, but it's ambiguous, and it's going into a spiral because of the spiral staircase. And as I edit this video, you will see on top of this, I will be showing you the spiral staircase that the Masons have as an emblem, and it means something. Okay, and I'm gonna show you what it means. I have it here. Okay, the 3 steps of the spiral staircase have to do with astronomy, geography, and navigation. It also has to do with youth, manhood, and old age. Okay? The youth, useful knowledge. The manhood, applied knowledge. And the old age, the master mason. Wisdom, strength, and beauty. And the wisdom, strength, and the beauty is the 2 pillars, okay, with the globes on it, and then there's another pillar in the back, in the middle of it, and that's the wisdom, strength, and beauty. You'll always see it on a tracing board, because the Masons, they have tracing boards where they have the pillars with the globes on it, and they'll have the checkered floor and all of that. Those are called, I think they're called tracing boards. But we'll go on to the 5 steps, okay? And the 5 steps the 5 steps have to do with architecture, the Tuscan, the Doric, the Ionic, the Corinthian, and a composite. And I guess the composite is a composite of all of them together. That's what I'm guessing, okay? And it also has to do with the 5 human senses. The 5 steps has to do with the 5 human senses, which is, the first is hearing, the second is seeing, the third is feeling, the 4 is smelling, and the 5 is tasting, okay? Now we're going to talk about the 7 steps, because it's the 3, the 5, and the 7. And now we have the 7 steps, which has to do with the 7 sabbatical years. Sabbath. The 7 Sabbath years, but it says sabbatical. which is hard for me to even pronounce. But the first of the 7 step is famine. The second is building the temple. The third is the 7 golden candlesticks. The fourth is the 7 wonders of the world. The fifth is the 7 wise men of the east. And the sixth is the 7 planets. And the seventh is the 7 liberal arts and sciences, okay? Which is the 1 is the grammar, 2 is the rhetoric, 3 is the logic, 4 is the arithmetic, 5 is the geometry, 6 is music, and 7 is astronomy. Okay? And that is the 3, the 5, and the 7. And that is the spiral staircase. But it's ambiguous because, you know, the Mason isn't supposed to tell their secrets, but they leave all of the signs. And it's really not a secret because all you got to do is read up on it and put 2 and 2 together and you can figure it out yourself. Just like I did. You know, you just got to study though. But it's got to do with him squaring his actions. In speculative Freemasonry, this emblematic symbol is used in Masonic ritual. The square is an emblem of virtue in which we must square our actions by the square of virtue with all mankind. The compasses amplify our wisdom of conduct, the strength to circumscribe our desires and keep our passions within due bounds. When these 2 Masonic tools are placed together with God the Creator as our central focal point, just as King Solomon built God's temple first and then built his house around it, peace and harmony is the result. So, as we look at the 7 of swords, and his cunning or whatever he's doing, he's sneaking around, he's doing something bad, he has to square his action. He has to get back into square and subdue the passions of doing the wrong thing. So that is what the 7 of swords is all about. Okay. And this is from a Masonic handbook. As you see, a lot of it is in code where you can't understand it unless you got the code, which I don't have the code, but I can see the 3, the 5, and the 7 steps, if you can see it there. The 3, the 5, and the 7 steps. So I just wanted to, I just wanted to show you what the 7 of Swords was all about, because I was so excited that I finally cracked it and figured out what it was really actually talking about, and the story behind that Moorish guy and what he's doing and why he's looking that way and why he's doing what he's doing. And it's because he needs to square his actions and he's out of square. Thank you. Love you. Bye.